Woman Jaika, or welcome to the University of Melbourne. You've been there with them all along the way, with a dedicated study, the focus, the hard work, maybe some tears along the way, and some good advice. You've been there for the big questions. Will I go to the UK? Will we stay studying here at home? Or maybe somewhere else? Which university is the best to go to? Which career do I want to do? You've been there all along the way. Well, I'm going to say well done and congratulations to you as parents. It's just as nerve-wracking and anxious for you to be there along the way, hoping for the best for your son or daughter, family member, loved one, or friend, whoever it is that you've supported along the way to get into the University of Melbourne. Congratulations, they did it, you did it, and now they're going to be studying at one of the world's famous universities and one of the world's finest. And we're really excited to have them here. And they're going to be studying along some of the best from all over the world. Now, along with being nervous along the way, you're probably feeling a bit anxious about what it's going to be like in these next steps to university. We've prepared this special session for you tonight. I've got some great guests so that you can rest assured that your son or daughter or family friend is in good hands. We're going to look out for them and make sure they feel welcome and supported, not just right now, but right along the way. So I want to address the question that I know that you're all wanting to know. And that's about when borders will reopen for students from overseas. And the short answer to that is that we're all anxiously waiting in Australia for that direction from our government. Now, things are looking fairly good and well managed in Australia. And we've got students coming back to campus this semester. And we are ready for your son and daughter, rest assured. We've got a COVID-safe campus plan, and we're ready to look after them when they get here. We will make sure that you are the first to know as soon as the government lets all of us in Australia and around the world know. But what I do know this year is that you will be home to many University of Melbourne campuses. So whether that's your son or daughter's bedroom, the lounge room, the study, or even the kitchen table, thank you for making your home another part of the University of Melbourne. How global are we this year? And we will be making sure that your son or daughter and all of you, every time they log on, they're part and connected to the University of Melbourne. Now, you'll hear some of those experiences from some actual parents later tonight, but overall, we're going to have a bit of a chat to you about how we're managing things to start online and join us later. And if you do have any questions, we love questions. I have a team of expert chatters, so just post them in the Q&A box and they will be ready to take them. I'm also going to be putting some of your questions to our panel live. But before we get started, I'd like to acknowledge the traditional owners of the lands on which all of us join together tonight in your country and in mine. I join you from the lands of the Wurundjeri people, and I actually referenced their language at the start when I said Woman Jaika. That's welcome in Wurundjeri. And it's a really important thing that we would like to recognise and acknowledge their leaders past, present and emerging. And what you just experienced, if you're a little unfamiliar with Australian culture, or if you already are, you would know that as an acknowledgement of country. And it's something your son and daughter will experience quite regularly at the university. It's an important way that here in Australia and the university, we're able to recognise, respect and acknowledge our nation's first people and their deep ties to country. Okay. I promised that I would get you started tonight as parents. It's day one for you as a University of Melbourne parent, friend, guardian, or even coach. And we've got a fantastic session for you. I have assembled an incredible guest list tonight. And first up, they are from student development. And so they very much are there to look after and support your son or daughter. And they come to you to talk through things that they think will help you know that they're in good hands and the things that we think that are on your mind. Again, post your questions in the chat, but it is my great pleasure to welcome my first guests. It is Yvette Montgomery. She's the Senior Student Development Advisor And we also have Sabrina Van Dot. She's the Student Development Advisor. You're in very good hands right now. Keep posting your questions in the chat, and I'm going to hand it straight over to you. Thanks for coming tonight.
Thanks, Zoe. It's lovely to be here. Sabrina and I are going to talk through a few of the ways the university will provide support for your student as they start their journey with the University of Melbourne and throughout their studies. So first of all, immediately after your student accepts their course offer, they'll have information on the my.unilife app. They can also access through the web. This is a great tool for their first year and makes it really easy for them to stay in touch with us at the university. It has a personalised student checklist, and if your student already has an offer, they may have discovered that and be using it already. That's going to guide them through everything they'll need to do before the semester starts. It'll also take them through the semester, all the way through to preparing for their exams. Now, the app can also be used for them to chat with their mentor group, which we'll discuss in a moment, and also to get support during their studies. They'll also be able to use it to explore the over 200 student clubs and societies that they could potentially join, and also see what's on and register for events, starting with the Melbourne orientation.
So through the Uni Life app, your student can sign up for an intro to uni session. These online sessions focus on making social connections even before orientation. Your student will also learn more about co-curricular opportunities and available services, including employability. And they will also engage in discussions about how to make the most of their uni experience. Now, orientation will run in late February. That's the week before classes start. And your student will attend the Melbourne commencement ceremony, in which they will meet academics, and they will also be welcomed into the community by the dean of their faculty. In orientation, they will learn more about the faculty and how classes work, as well as which clubs and activities they can get involved with.
So as you can see, there is a lot going on for students right from the beginning, a lot of information and a lot of events. Now, your student's going to be matched with a peer mentor who is a later year student from their faculty. So during orientation, they'll meet their peer mentor for the first time. After that, they'll have regular structured meetings with their peer mentor and a small group of first year peers from their course. So they'll be getting to know people in their course right from the beginning. This is a great first connection, as their peer mentor's experience is going to help your student learn what to do, when to do it, how to access the key resources at the university, and who it's really important for them to meet. Now, their peer mentor is someone that they can feel comfortable asking any question, anytime, and get support with all the aspects of university.
So now let's talk a bit more about language and academic skills. The registration for Melbourne Talks will open in February. This is a 5-week program that brings students together to build social connections while working on their English language development. Your student will become familiar with Australian culture and university life, and will develop their English through engaging peer-led activities. And what you can do is you can encourage your student to look out for this, as it's a really fun way to work on some very important language skills.
Absolutely. And in addition to their communicative English, we're really committed to the importance of students developing the essential foundations of their academic understandings to create academic excellence. So the first year is so important for this. There's going to be a lot of free support to help your student to succeed academically. For example, the academic skills team are a group of staff who will help your student to realise their full academic potential. Their offerings include academic language development, academic skills development, and also English language development as well. First, in their group, there are peer academic writing support services. So these are brief drop-in or email sessions where your students get quick advice and feedback so that they can continue to improve their academic writing. So whether it's to develop the basics of academic writing or to improve their already advanced writing, This feedback on their work in progress is really important. Next, there are also individual 25-minute appointments with the academic skills team. All of the team have a background in teaching English and can provide excellent language support by providing resources, workshops, and individual feedback on how they're progressing. So the guided workshops and self-paced modules that they offer will develop your students' academic writing, lab reports, or exam preparation strategies from first year all the way through to their PhD if they want to go that far. They have a wide range of topics, from developing academic writing style to presentation skills, writing professional emails, and effective teamwork. So they really cover all aspects.
So like Yvette said, the university will help your students transition in lots of different ways. So in addition to the general academic skills workshop, the university offers special workshops to introduce first year students to crucial information at really pertinent times, and that will support them through all the key points of their first year. So for example, early in the semester, we have academic listening, balancing commitments, and academic referencing expectations. Later, they'll get support for strategies for their first assignments. And at the end of semester, students will learn about active exam revision strategies. So you can encourage your student to seek support with any area. So being proactive and using these workshops will really help them become better students, better networks, and therefore also better academic outcomes. So they can attend just the one workshop or go for it all. And in semester 2, your student will also be matched with an academic advisor. This is not the same as academic skills, even though the name sounds a bit similar. What this is a senior academic member of staff from their faculty, and they will take an active interest in their progress, successes, and challenges, and they will assist your student in navigating them to their whole student journey. So they really are an amazing source of information about things like faculty competitions, scholarships, and work integrated learning programs. And they also have an extensive network of university community contacts, as well as external professionals and industry representatives. So please remind your student that their interest and focus may change over 3 years of study, so that the academic advisor's insights will be really important.
Great, thanks, Sabrina. Now, finally, don't feel that you or your student need to memorize all of the titles of the many services that are available. Melbourne has a centralised point for any question called Stop One. So staff at Stop One can put your student in contact with any of the services we've mentioned, and many more, such as the University Health Service, Counselling Service, Student Equity, Course Planning Advice. The key thing is to remember is if they have any question at all, they should either contact Stop One or ask their peer mentor. In this way, they'll be sure to access everything Melbourne has to support their journey with the university. Thanks, Zoe.
What wonderful advice and a great starting point for our parents all out there. Thanks so much, Yvette and Sabrina. I'm going to get you to stay here because I promised right at the start, we have some actual parents who are going through this right now, and they're here to share their experiences, their tips, their tricks, and the way that you can best support your student that you're out there cheering on. So it is my great pleasure to introduce two fathers that are here tonight to share their advice. And first up, I would like to welcome Amit Gossain. Welcome, Amit. Your daughter is studying the Bachelor of Commerce. And Anusha, welcome. Thanks for being with us tonight. Well, I think it's the afternoon for you. You're based in India. Welcome.
Thank you, Zoe, and pleasure to be here.
And my next guest, not only is he a father of a current University of Melbourne student, Vrinda, doing the Bachelor of Arts, he's also very familiar with the world of academia and universities. He is, in fact, the Dean of Engineering and IT at BMC Manjul University in India. Please welcome my second parent for the night, Dr. Manik Kumar. Welcome.
Well, thank you, Zoe, for this opportunity. I think it's a pleasure being on this particular panel. Thank you for the opportunity. Thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. I might actually start with you first, Amit. In fact, really interestingly, I believe that your daughter, Anusha, actually started her degree in 2020 right online. Like many of the parents out there, their children will be starting online. And can you just give me overall, how did she manage that? And what kinds of ways were you able to support her throughout the year?
Okay, thanks, Zoe. I think, firstly, Anusha was, her first preference was to get into University of Melbourne. And she said, that's, my dream university because it is a world-class university, very well known. And particularly the subjects, both Bachelor of Commerce and Bachelor of Arts are very renowned worldwide. What she did was, firstly, of course, because this was all virtual when she got admission, we of course had to get in touch with our country manager because we didn't know how information was to flow. So it was just a lot of learning process getting on the net, and because it's difficult for children who just passed out of school to get into a uni, and that too not in India but overseas. I'm in India at the moment, but somewhere overseas, it becomes a little difficult to understand the systems of admission and then getting into the university itself. Unfortunately, COVID hit us all and it all became virtual. It would have been much easier if she was there, travel, take a flight, and then understand the systems. But being virtual, we had a lot of doubts, a lot of questions. So firstly, I think, as we predicted, Melbourne University was very, very good, very, very quick in their actions, their emails and their processes. So everything worked very well till she got admission. But then the challenge really started because, when the system of education in India, and Dr. Manik would probably tell you later, is very different in University of Melbourne. You've got stop one, you've got Canvas, you've got not too many people wanting to talk to you, but it's all very system driven and process driven, and you need to book your slots. And that's something difficult for many people, particularly I think from Asian countries as well as many other countries to understand. So we had a lot of doubts. How do you actually get and enroll yourself was the first one. The internet explains it, but it only explains to a certain extent. How does it turn to green? So she asked me those questions. I tried to help her because generally in India, she would all do it herself, but this was different. And I took a lot of time to understand as well. Once you enroll, then you have a census date, and then you got to pay to a due date, etc., etc. So that became difficult. The challenge was stop one itself, because when you are in a different time zone, stop one was actually a 2-hour waiting at that point in time because so many parents trying to call. And I think the University of Melbourne was learning, but I'd say hats off to them. They learned it very quickly because that 2-hour became half an hour over a period of few days. They also put in more people to consult and to help out, which doesn't happen in most universities. The process remains the same. But I think the University of Melbourne very quickly understood that COVID is going to go on for a while and these questions will keep coming. Challenge number one. Challenge number two was the Canvas and how it works. It's a new system for many people across the world who are not studied in Australia itself. And that, of course, was sorted out because Stop One then started helping. And Stop One was excellent because they could either answer all the questions. We had a 2-hour waiting that day, but they could answer all the questions. Or they would actually direct you and say, we'll come back to you, which they did. So these were the two. Excuse me. It's a bit cold in India. So that was challenge number two. Challenge number three was the timings of the classes, and it was very difficult to change the timings because you have a different time zone and the class was starting at 3:30, but then it showed in the system that all the 3:30 in the morning, 3:30 a.m. the students started getting. Anusha got up at 3:30 and started studying, but then it applied for a later class, but it showed a red, which means you can't, the class is full. But then, somebody there in the university realized it's been a while, let me just change it. Now, then what is the attendance requirement, etc., virtually very difficult to understand. And our last challenge, and this is something that the university must take into account, is it's all virtual, first time for University of Melbourne, but also first time for the students. The way Melbourne Uni teaches can be very different because it's world class, it's all very good. But then the pattern of exam is also very different. So there is a trend in every country of how the pattern has to be. But in India, for example, they teach you, there's a lecture, Dr. Kumar might talk about it, and then you are given a certain project which is based on what you're taught. But here, then you have a practical way of thinking. So the exams were really tough. I'd actually say that. And I think from a virtual point of view, when the children are only learning how to cope with things, I think things should be a little easier. They should be taught all the practicalities, taught the subject, and then move on to the next semester is my take on this. But otherwise, generally a fantastic experience. I think these challenges would have been anywhere else. But there were a lot of good things that the University of Melbourne did. They were very clear on what they wanted. The lecturers were superb. The tutorials that happened, there were recorded lectures that were there, and it was very good. The stop one was again, every person in stop one was very good. But now this peer mentor and accessibility is a problem even now. I think we should be allowed to pick up the phone, talk to somebody without a long wait. Maybe difficult, but that's something. And I'd say look at the exam structure. Are we there to give exams and then go on to the next semester, or do something which actually explains that yes, virtual is very difficult. You will have to do something now, and then you move on, and then it's all about physical learning. When you're in campus with all the other students, professor in front of you, that's the best education.
Brilliant. Thanks so much. I mean, I think that the theme that we got through from your experiences there is this idea of constant change and evolution and improvement. It was really important to us at the university, as we had to pivot so quickly, to be able to see where the different needs needed to be improved for our students. And it's really exciting to see where our online learning and engagement and support came from the start of the year to now. And we probably had more of a driver than other nations throughout the world, that we knew that this was going to be for a bit longer. So we were highly motivated to make sure students would get that Melbourne experience. Which is a great segue for me to come to you, Monique, because you have a lived experience with this, both in your job as Dean and also as a father who was there supporting your daughter through this. What kinds of innovations did you sort of see at practice at the University of Melbourne in terms of online learning and teaching? Did you see a bit of a journey, or was there anything of note as an educator? I'd love your insights into that.
Yeah, thank you, Zoe, for that question again, because I think it's a very pertinent question coming through, because I've seen my daughter having gone through 3 semesters, all in a very different way, So she joined in July 2019, and she was right there. I was there to drop her there. And I think the way the orientation happened that point of time, I was privy to that, for some moments. And I think it was fantastic. She was obviously that emotional connect, and she was taking a little time to settle down because she was going for a bachelor's. But I think she settled down very well and did very well, in fact, in her first semester there. So she was back with us in November again, and then this COVID stuck. But somehow, we thought that probably it'll be all fine there. So she took her flight again to Australia, right, to Melbourne, reached there on March 1, right? So she was up there and running, had all those things in place, and she could reach. And but the moment she reached there, she had 2 or 3 weeks of classes, and then this all lockdown happened. And then I think it was great that the way University of Melbourne shifted from the offline mode to the online mode, and she could take all her online classes being there in Melbourne. She was staying in a uni lodge. That was a challenge for her, because she was not able to move out at all, because that was the kind of lockdown situation which was happening there. But I think hats off to the teaching which happened at University of Melbourne and her, because I certainly definitely would commend her for being there for 4 months and doing everything online, staying in uni lodge. And the good part, again, the teachers came to the rescue. I would certainly say that, because they were up there, available right there, right in the moment, and they could help her sail through. And once again, I must compliment her for that, because she did fantastically well. And I think the same thing happened here, because I'm the Dean School of Engineering here, and I joined, in fact, in a virtual mode. So I was at some other institutions prior to coming here and joining here. And I think we had immediately switched to the online mode immediately. Initially, it was once again a bit of a challenge for both the faculty as well as the students. Very natural, because we're very used to using gestures as professors, and as students, we're very much forthcoming to raising our hands and asking questions. So that was somehow a challenge initially to start with, but then the students began to learn how to learn. Now, that's something which is very important. And teachers also learned how to teach online. So that both was happening. And I think the same thing was happening parallelly with Brinda in Melbourne when she was attending that semester. And she did fantastically well. And I think the teachers came to the rescue every time, because it was difficult to move from one way to the other, but that was smooth. And I think she could handle that very well because of the support which came through from the professors there. So, and that is a very similar kind of a thing which happened here. And then she came back again in July back to India. And then her next semester happened fully online. And then she was here, right? So all three different modules she could handle. And one totally offline, second online right in Melbourne, third online here. And probably she's looking forward to another semester, which is going to start very soon. But I would certainly commend the University of Melbourne, because the way they have brought her up and taught her, I think Mr. Amit, she's very well versed with Canvas and LMS, and she could teach me. So I think probably the similar thing is going to happen with your daughter as well. She's going to be much more into it. And if I look at the future of education, which is going to come through, I think COVID has taught us a fantastic lesson. I'm pretty sure that the parents around would also, gel with me. In fact, the educators would also gel very well with my thought process, that it is going to be a blended mode in the days to come. And the students will have to learn different ways to understand that how they are given a recorded lecture before they go through that lecture and come back for discussions. So that is something which is going to be the thing which is going to happen, and it is going to remain throughout. I think it's a great blessing in disguise coming through, because I think that'll save a lot of time and probably give students more time to delve into the deeper thoughts and come back with more before they come to the physical classroom. So that's going to happen. I'm pretty sure UniMel will also be looking forward to a similar kind, because when I'm looking at the timetable now, which my daughter is preparing for her own self, she's seeing that it's a mix already. It's a mix on an online and an offline kind of an education, which is going to happen. So I'm pretty sure. And I think the parents who all are there, I think you rest assured, the University of Melbourne is going to take care of you very well. And in fact, we as university here have learned also quite a bit from the way the things are happening with my daughter. So I must commend that. And I think we have been able to incorporate quite a few things here as well. And let me tell you, we are also doing pretty well during this time, and the students are pretty happy coming out of it. Although it's difficult, because that physical setup is still definitely required. And just like me, I'm pretty sure everyone will also be looking forward to the student being there physically as early as possible. So that's my take on it, Zoe. Thank you.
Wonderful. It's definitely probably been the biggest prompter of change that we've seen worldwide in terms of education. And for those of you that may have heard some new words to you like LMS and Canvas, they are some of our online learning systems. They'll become very familiar as you host your own University of Melbourne campus this semester, and that will be something you'll be throwing into conversation at some point. I'm going to go over to you now, Yvette. We have a question from the audience. So Joan, hi Joan, we've got a great question. We have been talking a lot tonight about the kinds of support the university have available. And importantly, one of those big time-honoured traditions is O Week or orientation. What kinds of things are going to be available, and will it be online for our students who are based overseas?
Yes, thanks so much, Zoe. Yes, orientation will be run online because obviously at the moment we can't have large crowds. So the commencement ceremonies and orientation, your student is not going to miss out if they are not in Melbourne. The peer mentors, so everything, all the events will be listed through the my.unilife app, and they'll be able to sign up for those events and attend them virtually. So that they can get information on the subjects to choose, meet their academics from their courses, obviously meet their peer mentor, and learn more about the services at the university. There are so many different ways the university supports students that it is a big part of Orientation Week. The other thing is that the Student Union runs sessions with introducing the clubs, so the students can find out about all the different kinds of clubs that are at the university and find other students with common interests to themselves.
Brilliant. That's one of the important things that we've been doing. It wasn't just innovations in our classrooms, like for the science students, science practical kits arriving in the mail so they could do it alongside their classmates. It was also about making sure students felt connected to us back in Melbourne, making sure that they made friends. So a lot of the club activities still happened on time. So we actually saw the dance clubs still on Zoom doing things. We saw the symphony orchestra actually perform Ravel's Bolero in 104 different locations. We had gigs at lunchtime with some great Australian and campus artists, and all sorts of ways that students could make those friends and form those connections, as well as the support. So that's a really great point. And of course, we started earlier yesterday and today working to welcome your students to get them started. And obviously coming up next will be their course information sessions, their Melbourne commencement ceremonies, and then O Week. So it doesn't just end here. So these are the kinds of things you can encourage them to get involved, join the clubs at the activities on time, make sure they go to O Week and their Melbourne commencement ceremonies. They're the first things that you could be doing. Sabrina, we're going to now come with me here. We've got that magic date from the government now, and students will be joining us in Australia. Sabrina, a lot of the parents, it's really nerve-wracking to have your son or daughter or family member travel overseas for the first time, particularly when they're so young. Is Australia safe?
Australia and Melbourne in particular is really safe. Melbourne is a friendly city. We've got lots of regular and good public transport, but I think just as living in any city, we really need to be aware of the environment that we're in different times of day. So I guess what you would do if you're new in any city, you would talk to the people who live there to find more about the nature of different areas. So that's what I would encourage those students to do as well. And actually, fun fact, both Yvette and I actively chose to live in Melbourne. I moved from Europe. Yvette moved from the other side of the country. So that shows how much we love this city. There's lots of activities, festivals, concerts, amazing food from all over the place. So once they're here, and we can't wait to see them back here on campus, they're going to experience a really vibrant city and a really enjoyable place to live, I think.
Wonderful. Thank you. A really nice endorsement for our city. And I have to say, there is a reason that we were voted 7 times the world's most livable city. We're currently number 2. We're going to claw our way back. Amit, Anusha was in a really unique situation. I mean, finishing high school and then a pandemic strikes. And it's much the same circumstance for students starting for the first time this semester. What is the thing that she most can't wait to do when she lands in Australia and comes to the University of Melbourne? So again, we're going into the future with that magic date. What's she looking forward to?
She's looking forward to being in Melbourne, which is, I thought it's the most livable city in the world. You're saying it's number 2 now, so I'm a bit disappointed. But yeah, it is. It is number 1 or number 2. And secondly, of course, being in the University of Melbourne, because that's culturally a super, I believe, a campus. And just I think the whole environment is very different from anywhere else in the world. That campus, I believe, and I've seen it. It's a wonderful campus. So I think she was saying, I want to be in that campus and be a part of that whole team where there are so many activities that your whole system talks about, and just wants to be there.
Brilliant. We can't wait to have her. Excellent. But as I said, we'll be making sure that we continue to come into your home every day. What about you, Monique? What's Vrinda? What can't she wait to get back to? Because she's obviously had her slice of being here already. I hope she's missing it. But what can't she wait to get back to?
She's missing it big time. Let me tell you, she's fed up staying with her parents at this point of time, to be honest. But yes, she's very much looking forward to meeting her friends, which she had made there, and very much looking forward to meeting her mentors, because that is what she misses out, because she's already enrolled herself for a voluntary kind of a work with a PhD student, and she's doing a little work in that area. She has been selected for that particular part, but the one thing which she's very much looking forward to is going back to there and being on Yarra River and roam around a little, and also feel the wind out there, and also get to touch base with her friends, which she has made there. So that's and because she did that in the very first semester when she joined, so it's more than a year now, and she's very much looking forward to being back with them again. So that's something which she's very much looking forward to. Yeah.
Brilliant. Again, we can't wait to have her back here on campus. And now, though, I've just seen it's gone by so fast. I'm going to put a really hard question to each of you, and that is going to be, if you have one tip for all the parents throughout the world. And as I said, we have students joining us from over 160 countries right around the world. What would that one piece of advice that you'd give be? Yvette, you're up first.
Wow. One tip. Unfortunately, I'm the sort of person that has many. My number one tip would be make sure your student is proactive and asks questions. Because there is so much information. There are staff that have worked at the university for years and they don't know everything because there is so much on offer. So whatever they're interested in, ask lots of questions because there are heaps of opportunities for them at the university.
That's a wonderful tip. And I like to say that it's a smart student that asks questions. There's no shame. They're going to get the edge and they're going to be able to make the most of their opportunities. So awesome tip. And you did well. You did do one. I think I'm going to throw my hard question because one is hard. What about you, Amit? What is your one tip to all of our viewers out there?
I think the one tip is, of course, they're all looking forward to enjoy it. So I think just be there, get settled down, enjoy it. And like Yvette said, ask questions where there are problems, because I believe there's a lot of help in the University of Melbourne, and it's very easy to get help. It's an easy city, number one, Melbourne, and University of Melbourne is an easy university that way because you get all the help. So that's something that she should do. Go with that mindset of getting that help and asking questions. So I would probably just stay there. I think that's the one thing. I've got many others, but I would probably agree with Yvette 100%.
Wonderful. Well, there's some good tips there. What about you, Sabrina? What is your one tip to all our parents out there?
I think my tip is to really talk to your son or daughter about getting involved outside the subjects that that they're doing, because like they said before, there's just so much available at the university that it would be a shame if you come out at the end of it with just the subjects that you've completed. So be it volunteering, internships, taking up active roles in clubs, participating in faculty competitions, just really find that other thing that will help you make connections, that will make you more employable, and really enjoy your time at the uni a lot more. So try, once you've settled into your subjects, I'm talking to the students now, but the parents through the students, find out what other things you can get involved with. So for the parents, support your student with those other things that that they're interested in by talking to them about that and encouraging them as well.
Excellent. And I'm going to add to that, remind them that those things are online as well at the moment. Excellent, Sabrina. Okay, Manique, what is your number one tip?
I think I just have one thing to say at this point of time, which was the one tip which I think it's very important. See, it's learning which happens every which way. So do not worry about whether it's online or offline. At this point of time, it's very important that you stay in the moment and try to capture whatever information, knowledge you can through any mode. It could be being online in front of your professors, sending them an email, or being offline. I think it's very important to remain focused on what you are there to do. And I'm pretty sure UniMel will help you get through that. So be in the moment and enjoy every which way. It's education, knowledge coming through. Capture it. That's what I would like to say here.
Some salient words, and I'm sure that everyone out there got so much from your advice. You're living through it right now. You've been there where our parents out there have been before. So I would love to thank you so much on behalf of all of our audience across the world for joining us tonight and sharing your expertise, your insights, and your very, very good advice. So thank you for joining me tonight, and I hope we can welcome you back again another day. And wishing your daughters the best of luck too this year.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thanks. Bye-bye. Thank you.
Now, we know that there's another thing that parents have a lot of questions about, and that's about your overseas health insurance. And it's probably very pertinent in the time of a pandemic. So, I have the great pleasure of welcoming an alumni of us at the University of Melbourne. It's Clark Chen, and he's here to talk to you a little bit about your options and with overseas healthcare cover. Over to you, Clark.
Hi, thank you very much, Zoe, for the warm welcome. It's also a great honor for me to speak to the parents of our lovely and talented students. As introduced, I was a previous student at Melbourne Uni, and I'm from Bupa. You may be asking, who is Bupa and what does Bupa do? So Bupa is the largest healthcare provider in Australia with the great connections to doctors and hospitals, which means through our Bupa's network, our students can visit all the registered doctors and hospitals across the whole Australia. So the University of Melbourne has chosen Bupa to be the preferred healthcare provider for them, as they believe that we provide the best service and the best coverage for our students. We work closely together and providing many programs to support our students for their growings, which I'll introduce to you later. And as for myself, so I studied in the University of Melbourne before as an overseas student. So I can say that I've been through pretty much the whole journey for the insurance myself. And back then, when I came to Australia, my parents also wanted to know, desperately, just like you, when they send their children to Australia, if their children will be covered for their health and well-being. But don't worry, tonight I'll introduce you the Australian health system, the insurance details, and how to utilize these benefits. I also share my experience and knowledge when your children arrive here, which is what we do every semester. And all this information I mentioned today will be listed online, and your children can find them under their Bupa online account. So in Australia, we have a very different health system to, well, pretty much how it works in newer countries. In Australia, when we go to see a doctor, we don't go to the doctors in hospital directly. We have our local doctors. So they are very experienced and they can solve most of our problems. And they can also write prescriptions that we can pick up the medications in the local pharmacies just next door. And for the more complex conditions, maybe say like a test or maybe like a surgery, and then the local doctors can introduce us to the specialist in the right hospital so we can get helped. And if there's an emergency, then emergency ambulance will also be covered. So now understanding like what's covered, let's see like how much does Bupa cover for those benefits. Well, in Australia, we have a Medicare system where the government states the benefits and also the cost for each medical services, like seeing local doctors, seeing specialists, or having the services in the hospital. And Bupa covers up to 100% of the Medicare, the government standard. But does mean that all the medical bills will be covered? Well, in Australia, we have the public and private sectors. So for the public hospitals, they will charge below government standard. They will follow government rules. But for private doctors and private hospitals, they can determine their own prices, which means sometimes their price will be higher than government standard. And as Bupa covers 100% of the government standard, so that means for some of them, the patients will need to pay a gap fee. That's the part higher than government standard. And now let me teach you how to reduce the fees that you need to pay, which means the gap fee you pay. So Bupa has a website called Bupa Friend Doctors. Don't worry about recording it. Your children will find it under their online account. So this website, the student can find out the doctors around their living areas. And this website also provides the contact details for doctors so that students can just contact doctors before they go to find out how much the doctor will charge them, whether it's higher or below government standard. And then they can also choose the best one that offer the best deal at the end. And another good thing for this website is that for those doctors and hospitals listed over there, for Bupa members, when they go over there, they can swipe the Bupa card, either physical one or digital one on their mobile phone, and then the bills will just build under Bupa account. And then for some situations, if the students have paid for the fees from their own pocket, they can claim the refund back. And how to claim refund back? It's simple. So students can just go to their online account, take photos of their invoices using their phone, and upload it there with their bank account, and then we can refund the students. Simple enough, right? And another thing is that the student can find out the Melbourne University health clinics. They're just located a few minutes walk away from the main campus. So students can just go over there and seek doctors over there. They're very experienced and very supportive for our students. And the good thing for BUPA members is that for students with the other insurance companies, they may have a gap fee they need to pay from their pocket. But if they're with the BUPA insurance and then the BUPA overseas student health insurance, and then they can get a free doctor consultations because BUPA will pay for them. And BUPA is not just an insurance provider. Apart from those benefits I mentioned above, we provide many other services and also supportive programs to our students. So my office is located in Stop 1 in the main campus, which means that students can just visit my office for any of their inquiries and get them resolved as soon as possible. We also have the other programs such as the orientation presentations as introduction to students, to new students for the Australian health system and how to utilize their insurance benefits. We also have the free yoga session and also therapy sessions for stress relief, especially during the exam period. And we also have the healthy eating programs that we teach students how to cook and make a healthy diet. As we found out, many students, they do consume too much of the fast food, like me and myself before when I was studying. And I can go on to more if I have more time. And another example I would say is that we also hire students who provide the employee program. We have students to help us and providing those local work experience so that it will be building into their resume later on. And one of the students we hired before, and she actually applied for a role in BUPA that's related to her study. I also wrote a resume, a reference for her, and guess what? She got a job at the end. So now I would say that you have a good understanding of the Australian health system and also the insurance details. And as a previous student from University of Melbourne, I can say that your students are in good hands as we have the supportive staff from Melbourne Uni, and also our BUPA team is based on campus to support your students. So that'll be all for my presentation, for my speech today. I'll just hand it back to Zoe. Right, thank you so much.
So much, Clark. It's also been great having you share your experiences, having been through the journey. But I love some of those programs, the yoga and the healthy eating. I know I had no idea how to cook when I first came out of high school. So thank you so much for that. And you can see just how much we want to look after all of our students. Maeve is posting the direct link so you can find out further information about BUPA in the chat. So make sure that you follow up. And if there are any further questions, we'll help you out with that. Thanks for joining me, Clark.
Right, thank you very much. It's an honor for me.
Excellent. It's been a fast and furious session tonight, but we just want you to know that your son, daughter, family member, friend, or anyone that you are supporting to come to the University of Melbourne is in good hands. We're constantly adapting to the needs that they have and making sure that we make sure they're set up for success, feel connected, and they're excited about what's happening. So again, I want to thank you for this semester making your homes the University of Melbourne campus, and you certainly will hear from us as they log on anytime. You might see them doing sports classes, doing dance classes, or even catching a gig. Hopefully a lot of study too. But what's up next? Again, just to reiterate my tips again, and the tips of the panel is make sure that they do go to their course information sessions with their faculties where they'll get a deeper understanding of their expectations in their subjects. Make sure that they go to course planning sessions if they need it, get involved, and of course, attend their Melbourne commencement ceremony. More importantly, they're also going to be contacted by their peer mentors soon. So they'll be getting that help and advice because it all begins now. I also, again, want to say, Waman Jaika, one final time, welcome to the University of Melbourne family, and we appreciate the support that you're giving your students too. Thanks for joining us, and again, a special thank you to my incredible panelists, Yvette, Sabrina, Clark, Monique, and Amit. Thank you for your words today, and farewell, good luck, and we can't wait to see it when you bring them to us on campus. Bye for now.